Hey guys, and welcome to Really Seriously For Real, and welcome to my first full review of Outlander Season 3. So, spoiler warning, let's go. The battle joined. The new season opens with a noticeable change to the theme song. It's just a bit lighter and more string instruments, not as heavy in the Scottish theme. I don't know, I can't place it, but at its core, it's still the same. And the scenes within have slightly changed to reflect the new season. The camera pans over the dead or dying that lay on the battlefield on Culloden Moor, young and old, and it's eerie because it's very clear that Claire's warning has rung true. The Jacobites would lose. We finally see Jamie lying on top of the heap of lifeless men and a British soldier resting on top of him. Jamie's eyes are open, and it's clear he's alive but phasing in and out of lucid thought. There are British soldiers patrolling the battlefield, collecting weapons and plunging their swords into the men trying to cling to life. It's a sad and ominous feeling of dread, listening to the men groaning and dying and knowing that's exactly what Jamie expected of himself. Claire and Jamie spent all of season 2 trying to thwart Prince Charles Stuart's Jacobite rebellion to no avail. It was meant to be, so when Jamie delivered Claire to the stones one last time, he did so believing he would die fighting side by side with his men. But he didn't die. Not yet. He flashed in and out of consciousness, seeing bits of the war in his memory. Prince Charles still foreseeing his side winning the battle, even as the cannonballs explode around them. A flash of Jamie clinging to Claire's cloak at the stones, which, when you think about it, he is now seeing Claire literally disappear into the stones. Battle aside, that must have been unreal to witness. We see dear Murtaugh. Even through the craze of battle, they manage to find each other until they charge back into the pack and disappear. Flash after flash through Jamie's haze, Jamie finds one other person in the midst of battle. Black Jack Randall. They lock eyes on each other. The gods have intervened and allowed for one last grudge match. It should be no other way. After everything Black Jack has done to Jamie and everyone he's loved, it was time for him to die. And as the sun set, the sun would set on Black Jack, and their combined struggle would be over. Claire did say he would die on that day. You now realize Black Jack was the soldier lying on top of Jamie the whole time. It's ironic because Black Jack probably kept him alive by keeping him warm. I don't know. Honestly, I was a bit let down by their fight. I kind of wish it became a knockdown, drag-out fight between the two of them. It was implied, yes, but I don't know. He did so much to Jamie. I just wanted the scene to really drive home every possible emotion it was worthy of. But he's dead, so yeah. As the snows fall and the cold sets in, Jamie thinks he sees Claire walking amongst the dead towards him. But it's really Rupert. He made it through the battle, and he brings Jamie to a building where other survivors are hiding, trying to evade capture for as long as possible. But honestly, they know it's only a matter of time. Unfortunately, as the sun rose to signal the next morning, a man comes in and announces himself as Lord Melton. He tells the men that he's been ordered by the Duke of Cumberland to execute any man that participated in the rebellion against the crown. And then he asks if any men claim innocence. Now, you look at these men, dirtied and haggard, battle-worn and wounded, bloodied by combat. Obviously, they wouldn't dare deny it. And they fought for something, even if they did lose. And Lord Melton, though recognizing them all as traitors, treated them as men, allowing them an hour to collect themselves and to write to loved ones. He also insisted that they be allowed to stand on their own 2 feet and be shot instead of prolonging their death via hanging or shooting them where they lay. One by one, they are asked to give their name, and one by one, they're shot. Giles McMartin and Frederick McBean, Gordon Killock, Rupert Thomas Alexander Mackenzie, all dead. As more waited their turns, Lord Melton called for the next volunteer, and Jamie spoke up, ready to finally die. But when he gave his name, Jamie Alexander Malcolm Mackenzie Fraser, Lord Melton stopped in his tracks, halting the stenographer because, as luck would have it, Lord Melton's brother is none other than Lord John William Grey, the same 16-year-old boy that tried to kill Jamie in season 2, but Jamie spared his life, so John felt he owed him his. Family honor would allow Lord Melton to smuggle Jamie away in the night and be delivered to Lollybrook and his sister Jenny. Meanwhile, on the other side of the stones, we join Claire and Frank as they look at their new home. And I like her face when Frank playfully said the kitchen is where the lady of the house would rustle up some dinner. And I even had more of a chuckle when Frank puts on his best cowboy accent to emphasize the definition of rustle. Though there were notable signs of apprehension from Claire, but they seem like they were trying to deal with the cards that they've been dealt. Cut to some time after move-in day, and Claire is trying to get the stove lit so she can cook. Not happening. But what luck, there is a fireplace, and she's had obvious training cooking over a fire. So she runs out and gets some wood and meets a neighbor, Millie Nelson, who assists a reluctant Claire with carrying it up the stairs for her. So her conversation with this neighbor was an interesting one. It gave a little insight into the male-female dynamic in the household. The wife cooks, cleans, takes care of the kids, and looks good for the boss. Never skewing from the norm. As a woman, this is going to be a very tough season to get through. Then we're introduced to Frank's pompous boss. Now, this particular clip has been floating around in the media, but now we get to see the whole thing. His ideals are where I believe some of those in current politics may center around. You know, men are superior, women don't have a voice. The fact that Claire's talk of reading or simply submitting her opinion was being met with disbelief was astounding. But those were the signs of the time, as they say. And then here goes Frank's boss and his bloated sentiment proclaiming women don't succeed in medicine. You can see Frank was a bit uncomfortable. You know, that is his boss and his wife after all. And he spoke up to offer the fact that Claire was a combat nurse. But his boss just simply dismissed it and insisted she, prefer making life instead. And that she was just merely helping out at the front. Ugh. Now, it took everything Claire had to resist knocking him to the floor. Now, I was okay with how Frank handled it. With his boss in the moment, I mean. But when he was walking home with Claire afterwards, he just asked her if she was okay. I wish he had spoke to her instead and maybe apologized for his boss's ridiculous remarks. Don't ask her if she's okay. Of course she's not okay. It's obvious she's not okay. She was just heavily insulted and everything she worked so hard for and believed in was looked at as a joke. Peeking a little further into their life at home, you see Claire rustling up some grub in the kitchen, and then Frank comes in, poetically mentioning how he loves waking up to the smell of bacon. And then he talks of his disdain for tea bags, which represent the end of an English tradition. Ironically, he doesn't see the practical side of the tea bag. He calls them diapers, as he prefers loose tea. But who must clean up the leaves in the cup or the drain? Claire, in this case. And who was up before Frank, cooking those yummy bacon and eggs? Claire. Clearly, Frank shows a bit of the time they live in, cluelessly enjoying his male privilege. But he did turn off the tea kettle for Claire. I mean, she was already there. Once they sit down for breakfast, Claire mentions how she would like to apply for citizenship. An idea that Frank was actually happy about, especially since she coded her statement with, "I want our child to have a home." But that quickly went south when Claire wrenched away when Frank attempted to touch her belly. It was like the commercial. "Oh, you almost had it." So Frank, obviously agitated, informs Claire that his job provides residency for them both indefinitely, which is nice. But if Claire were trying to have some type of independence or to call something her own, something that she achieved, he kind of was missing the point. Frank tries to grab her hand and she just yanks it away. He accuses her of using the pregnancy to keep him at a distance, and everything just falls apart. Claire storms away, but Frank needs to talk it out because the quote-unquote elephant in the room really needs to be addressed. So they argue, and Claire maintains she does not bring up the past, but why is he allowed to reminisce? She questions if this is about sex, and Frank reminds her he wasn't the one sleeping with other people. Burn! Which Claire returned the volley via an ashtray over Frank's head. And that was only because he ducked. All things considered, Frank tells her he didn't force this arrangement on her, and he's not forcing her to stay. She has to do it because that would be what she wants. What's interesting is that Frank, he didn't move on. He held out hope that Claire would return, much like Claire is holding on to Jamie's memory. And Frank's right. He didn't force her into this arrangement. He didn't have to take her back. He did it out of love, and he's making the best out of it. So in a way, Jamie snuffed out the life of Blackjack, and Claire's doing the same to Frank. The fight obviously led to a night of unrest for Frank, and this is where he decided to write the letter to Reverend Wakefield to look into Jamie Fraser. Nice little Easter egg there, because I believe Roger found this letter in the season 2 finale. So we know this letter is finished at some point, just not that night, because that was the night Claire's water broke. So Claire was wheeled into the OR, because it was customary back then to give the mother a sedative. When she awoke, it was much like the episode Faith in season 2. She felt her stomach looking for her baby, only this time Frank walks in holding a beautiful baby girl, and Claire is happy, Frank is happy, she apologizes, and Frank is like, none of that matters. The barriers disappeared. Total happiness and hopefulness. Maybe it could be a new beginning. Until the nurse had to walk in and state the obvious. Where'd she get that red hair? Wow. Okay, well, what a return. Outlander is back. What was your favorite part of the premiere? And what did you think of the episode overall? Leave it in the comments below. If you like this video and want to see more Outlander content, hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the bell so you're always notified when I upload a video. Until next time, guys.